Post-match pint, Atkinson, Sexton. Listen, I'm conscious of this thing. It kicked off at 3:30 in the United Kingdom. That means, and at first when I thought I was doing this, I thought I'd have Craig Hannon next to me and he'd be amazed by the concept of time zones. But what that means is that it kicks off at 10:30 in New York City and Boston. Yep. It kicks off at 7:30 in Los Angeles. It kicks off at, I think, current climate, approximately 11:30 in Tokyo. And it kicks off at 2:30 a.m, if I am right, in Sydney and Melbourne. So what that means is, regardless, it's the second Friday before Christmas, and I don't know how many of you will have watched it. And that's a fair point, isn't it, Josh?
Absolutely, yeah, but what about Ben Doak?
Come back to Ben Doak in a minute or two. So how many of you will have watched it? So what we're going to do is we're going to run through the game and then we can go from there. So the first thing to point out is that early in the match, AC Milan, they have a chance after about 2 minutes. And then there's a Salah goal where Joel Matip runs and it's a wall pass with Firmino. It's great football and Salah slots it into the bottom corner. That's 4 minutes in. Josh?
What about Ben Doak?
Thiago's running the show at about 7 minutes or so. Chamberlain sets up Salah, nothing comes from it, and then Chamberlain himself should have played in Milner at 20 minutes. Milner goes mental at him.
What about Ben Doak?
Then AC Milan, they only exist on the break because it's going all the way through. Salah makes it 1-1 after a massive big switch. Robertson doesn't do enough.
What about Ben Doak?
Then there's a great move from Liverpool that results in a Chamberlain header. Chamberlain's bright and he's involved and he's narrow and it's looking like it could be pretty good. It falls to Thiago after the corner. Liverpool keep it alive really, really well. Good touch from Firmino. 2-1 Salah. What a strike from Thiago.
I can't believe you still haven't mentioned Ben Doak.
Firmino has a chance before the break. Immediately after half-time, it's all Liverpool. But there's not much in the penalty area, is there?
Ben Doak.
Then the changes begin to come on 58. It's all a little bit flat. A number of Liverpool players come on. A number of Liverpool players go off. On the 80th minute, Nunez scores from a 70-yard through ball from Bobby Clark.
Any Ben Doak at all.
On 82 minutes, Mo Salah comes off. Ben Doak comes on.
Get in.
Lives have changed. Josh Sexton. What about Ben Doak?
Oh, he's absolutely unbelievable, isn't he? The way he runs at players. I have to be careful with these things. So I did a talk in Reds the morning after Bayern Munich away, and me and Dan Austin did it together, and we sort of said on there, John Barnes must have been good, but there's no way he's better than Sadio Mane. So I do have to be careful with these things. But there's no way Kane Dalglish was better than Ben Doak. I'm not having it for a second. Ben Doak is the greatest living Scottish forward in the history of football.
In the history of this football club.
Yeah, he's better than Dennis Law. I'd throw that in there.
You name the Scot, he is better than them.
Absolutely.
He comes on and it's so effervescent. I mean, you can sound like, let's be clear about this. The Bobby Clark 70-yard through ball is
so good.
So good. It's so good. But he comes on, Doak, and he just feels like the most raw final third thing I've ever seen in my life. Basically, if he gets the ball, he's going to find a way to get into the penalty area. It's remarkable. As soon as if he gets 3 touches, he's going to get into the penalty area. It's incredible.
Yeah, and there's that thing, I think, when someone is so direct and so sort of good at running with the ball, sometimes you can look at them and think like, oh, it doesn't even look like he knows what he's going to do. But every time he does, he looks like exactly like he knows what he's going to do. He's like, I'm going to try and get myself as close to that goal as possible, as close to the 6-yard box as possible. And genuinely, every time he did it tonight against decent defenders in AC Milan as well, he was managing to get success.
There's something where they're almost like this just doesn't happen very often in football in a really weird way. Like, it's very rare a footballer just gets the ball and runs pretty much at the goal. Like, it's something that it almost, to say it gets trained out of footballers, I don't think it's the training. I think it's just more the reality of playing loads of games. You begin to think, well, I'm going to have to show a bit of cleverness. We're going to have to do something a little bit differently. For me, it's just this repeated, I've got the ball, there's a net, there's the sticks thing around it. I remember growing up, the aim is to put this thing into that thing. I'll just go towards it then because it becomes more likely.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess at that point we just hope Ben Doak doesn't grow up so that he doesn't lose any of that. I think there's
the Peter Pan of football.
Yeah, exactly. There's a thing of the sort of tactics, isn't there? And teams generally, I think, trying to make themselves harder to beat, if not sort of more likely to win. But with Ben Doak on the pitch, I honestly think that Liverpool just feel like they're more likely to win. Like, even if he was starting first team games for Liverpool now, I would genuinely just feel like Liverpool more likely to win because I feel like he was likely to make something happen in the same way that, even when he's not sort of getting into the 6-yard box and having shots at goal, he makes things happen like he did for Darwin Nunez.
Well, he does. So just keep going on my minutes through. So Nunez scores on 80. Salah goes off for Doak on 82. Salah, by the way, played really well. 85, Doak hits the post. 88, AC Milan get in and should score to make it 3-2 at that point. And then Nunez scores. He's offside, but he scores from a Doak assist. And then on 92, Doak almost makes it happen again. And There's a thing you can do again with football where you feel a bit like in a bit of a nan way, and I'm fine with football being seen in a bit of a nan way, by the way. It's one of my favourite things about Mo Salah. I've talked about it in the past. Like, I do think that like the nan interpretation of football is, of course, the lads who play up front should make loads of things happen. But you've got here, basically, he has 4 really, really clear final third moments in 10 minutes of football. That just very rarely happens to any player.
YouTube, press the button, become a member of the Anfield Wrap from the heart of the city of Liverpool. The best way to enjoy all your Liverpool-based videos, everything you need, every single day. It is the Anfield Wrap.